Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Portadown Preview Show. I'm Neil, and alongside me, as always, I am joined by the face that runs the place, Dave Wiggins. Dave, how are you?
Grumpy as sin, to be perfectly honest. And it's not football related. I just had real problems putting my kids to bed tonight. They were doing my head in, but I love them. Yeah. So hopefully talking about football will lighten the mood.
If Portadown had won last night, he wouldn't be grumpy though, so he says it's not football related, but like...
tonight
not last night, Gareth. We're pretending this is Friday.
Sorry.
And that was Tuesday night.
Sorry, on Tuesday night.
Tonight is a historic episode of the preview show as Gareth Hanna is joining us again. So Gareth goes down in the history books as the first guest to make not one, but 2 appearances on the preview show. So Gareth, delighted to have you back. How are you?
I'm brilliant. I'm even better for hearing that. I'm very honoured of all the illustrious guests you've had on, and I'm the first to be second. My word. I'll be straight on the phone to Paddy Van Noort after this to rub it in.
We'll have to get Paddy back on soon now. We just didn't want 3. I know professionally Paddy doesn't admit to being a Portadown supporter, but we can't have 3 Portadown supporters on the pod after a double header against Glenavon. Like,
no, it's fair. It's fair. It was very good. Yes.
Well, you made such an impression on us the first time around, so I thought we'll have to have this boy back again.
What can I say?
Right. So, well, you've already mentioned it. Portadown Glenavon. It doesn't come any bigger than that now, does it? So, where will we start? Saturday?
I think we should start with humiliation and embarrassment. I think those are the 2 big words we should start with.
Obviously, we're going back to Saturday then, and not your antics on the Saturday night now.
No.
Unless he's talking about the embarrassment he now feels after saying you're only as good as your last derby, and now he's caught for the next few months.
Here, listen. Well, we'll get into
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, Saturday. Portadown 4, Glenavon 1.
Was it that long ago that we don't remember it? Listen, we absolutely hammered Glenavon on Saturday. Let's just focus on that.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Time flies. 4-1 against Glenavon. I think a lot of people, Portadown fans especially, were really hoping for the 3 points, and I don't really think anybody expected to win so convincingly. I think a lot of people thought there's a chance here of getting 3 points, but the win so convincingly was a surprise to everyone. I mean, I saw Gary Hamilton's post-match interview, and he was not happy at all. He said his exact words were, "We were embarrassing." So
what were his exact words?
We were embarrassing. So I think everyone in Portadown circles is very happy with how it went. Dave, I know that you were absolutely delighted. What did you make of Saturday's result?
Amazing. Absolutely class. We've waited so long to play Glenavon, and then to spank them at Mourneview Park 4-2, and then to spank them at Shamrock Park 4-1. It was just so totally enjoyable. And not to forget, we were already in the lead by the time they gave away a penalty and got a man sent off. And just to push on from there was absolutely fantastic. I think probably we got Glenavon on a bad day, and we had an exceptionally good day. Everything went for us. Shots went in. It looked like we were getting the bounce of the ball, all of that stuff. It was just totally enjoyable, I have to say. Nice to see a few players getting the goals. And it was great. Do you know what? I'm just going to say it. My favourite thing was on the Glenavon media page after Gary Hamilton was getting interviewed, right? All serious. He was talking about embarrassment. And Paddy Van Noort and Mr. McKinley were interviewing Tippy just over his shoulder, and Tippy was just sipping a wee beer, having a lovely time. And it just summed up the whole thing for me. Gary was raging and Tippy was over the moon. And so was I.
And you mentioned there that Portadown were ahead by the time the sent off, and deservedly so as well. It was a wee bit end to end until Portadown got that first goal, but I think Portadown still were the stronger. Glenavon forced a load of corners, And really that was how they were going to, if they were going to score, it was going to be from a corner, whereas Portadown were already looking the more likely to sort of cut through the defence at that stage, which they then did with frightening regularity for the rest of the match. And probably, like, if you'd scored 8 goals, it would have been, nobody could have complained.
No, it sort of felt like, I think we thought the first one was going to feel like a cup match, and it really did. Like, it was all action, sending off, plenty of good tackles, great goals, and it did feel like a cup match, and very enjoyable, I have to say.
Gareth, what did you make of the sending off? Did you think it was a bit harsh or deserved?
I actually meant to look. I did look at it back a couple of times on Saturday during the match, but I meant to look back at it again today, and I didn't, because I was reading some people saying that they thought it wasn't a sending off, but whenever I looked back at it, it was just like, oh, that's a red card, done. And then, so I don't know what he, like, at the time, and then from watching the replays once or twice, I thought, no, it's a stonewall red card. Like, but what do you think?
It was funny because from the We Are Ports TV angle, which is the newsstand looking across, you couldn't quite see. But when you looked at the BBC footage, they're shooting from the old stand. He does move he moves both arms towards the ball very quickly, instinctively probably. And we all hate that rule, but the ball hits his hand and he blocks it from Stephen Murray. Had cut inside and he was curling it in, and he stopped it from being a goal. So yeah, it was a penalty and a red card for me. But yeah, from certain angles maybe.
I thought so too. I thought it was a penalty and obviously a red card, but I actually thought he didn't. Not that he was unlucky in a sense. It was not. I sort of felt like there was nothing he could really do, but he had to go for it. But it wasn't like as if he went. Like, do you ever remember Colin Feeney against the Glens in like 2002? Literally jumped across the net and like punched it off the line. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't even like even Greg Hall the other week. It just sort of hit him, but he had to go. But after that, I mean, even before that, I thought Portadown were value for money. And then after that, if it wasn't for hiding the nets, Portadown could have hit double figures. He was brilliant. Yeah. Like, it's one of them days you concede 4, but you could argue the keeper still could have got man of the match. Yeah. But
what a goal that would have been by Stephen Murray for the sending off, by the way, before we move on from it. What a goal that would have been by Stephen Murray. It'd be absolutely bloody livid, because he did so well, did the hard work, cut past was a Sean Ward. It was just perfect. And then you're just like, oh, this is going to be a great, brilliant goal. And then it's like, what?
He was livid because he went stomping towards the linesman as if like and waving his arms and shouting as if you better fucking get sent off here or I'm going to go nuts.
Fair play to him for not taking the penalty, though. I saw Ward had been interviewed and said that he just threw him the ball. So fair play to him. If I was him, I'd have been like, nah, it's mine, mate.
I think if Ward's being honest, Stephen Murray is holding onto the ball, walking to the edge of the 18-yard box, and I'm thinking Stephen Murray wants to take that penalty, but I think possibly the bench have shouted over to him.
Right.
Not to be harsh on Stephen, I just think they must have, and Sam Ward, of course, stepped up with that like modern day shimmy, run up, jump in the air and hope the goalkeeper moves type of thing. And it does seem to work, but it's one of those ones, if you get that one wrong, you're going to look like an absolute wab, to be fair.
Yeah, for me, but fair play to him.
Yeah, he sticks it past the keeper. But I would imagine Stephen Murray wanted to take that penalty and add to his goal tally for the season. But yes, the manager always knows best.
I'm not a fan of those type of penalties. Obviously, as you say, if it works out and it goes in, then it looks great. But if it goes wrong, you'd have custard in your face there. But thankfully it went in. Gareth, Glenavon after that sort of seemed to fall apart. What did you make of Glenavon? I mean, to me, they remind me of sort of Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what you're going to get with them.
Yeah, no, that's probably about right. Like, I haven't seen too much of them this season, but I was surprised the way they did just fall apart, as you say, because like quite often teams go down to 10 men and they at least sit in and make it difficult. But like that second half, it was every time Portadown got the ball, it just looked like they were going to score. I don't really know. Like, I don't know. Gary said it all after the game, didn't he? When he led into just how bad they were, and I think the fans were fairly colourful with the way they were describing the performance, and probably rightly so, especially in a derby. Like, you don't expect that regardless of 10 men or not, and they've been on a decent run, so it was shocking. All of them were just bad. Stephen Garrett had a bad game in midfield and then was much better on Tuesday night. Everybody I don't know what went wrong. You wouldn't like to think there was any sort of motivational problem, like there shouldn't be in the Mid-Ulster derby, but I don't know what happened, and it sounded like Gary Hamilton didn't know what happened either. It was just a bad all-round performance, but like that shouldn't take away from the fact that Portadown made them look bad too, because the way Portadown moved the ball about was really, really good, and obviously from the results that hasn't been happening every week, but what Portadown did was good. The way they moved the ball, the way they moved the 10 men about the pitch was good, and the way they created all those chances was really good. Like, the attack was brilliant in that second half. And probably the frustration is that they didn't put an absolute cricket score on.
Yeah, I think the thing with Portadown, we've touched on it before. What was it, Dave, you said before in Latin, we play better against better teams or something?
I don't really want to be quoted on anything anymore because
no, but like, you know, they seem to play better, and we'll put it in this terms, bigger games, and obviously Glenavon's the big local rivals, and they're really stoked up for that. And I think it's sort of, in a sense, it showed everyone how good Portadown can actually be on their day, but it's just actually replicating that against the likes of Carrick and Dungannon and Warren Point, with no disrespect to them teams, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I think Portadown dazzled on Saturday, and I think it's given a lot of people hope that there could be more of that in the bag. Dave, was there any particular moment during the game that you enjoyed more than any of the rest? Any particular goal?
I don't know. I just enjoyed the whole thing. I just enjoyed watching it. I just enjoyed the fact that we scored 4 goals. It was amazing. Like, it's not like we scraped the win. We absolutely smashed them. Like, and that was thoroughly enjoyable. No, there was no real moment of the match that I enjoyed.
Were you not in shock when we got a penalty after I mentioned it last week on the show?
No, that's been a long time. And you know what? The boys who came on, I did a wee thing with Billy Fife and Mark Knox and Dean Irwin on the Saturday morning. And I think Mark Knox, football genius that he is, had said in the last 5 matches, Glenavon matches, there'd been a red card in one of the teams. So Saturday made it 6. Yeah. The penalty, I think we hadn't had a penalty for like, how long? A very, very long time.
27 games it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, obviously other teams are better at tricking the referee than we are. I'm looking at you, Owen Bradley.
No, but right enough, when you consider that, like, we hadn't had a penalty in that long, but yet Man United, for example, get one nearly every game. It's mad, like. So, but yeah, no, I was stunned whenever I actually got a penalty. I was like, did this actually happen? Like, picture the moment. Wow.
To get a penalty, you actually have to get into the opposition box. I think that's been the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, I think I probably enjoyed the 3rd goal the most, and my heart was, in my mouth, because Lee Bonus goes through, he stalls and stalls and stalls, and then just flicks it with the outside of his foot to the right for Ben Guy to tap it in. But it was only a couple of inches less, and it would have been intercepted, but it was just a lovely wee goal where, obviously he had tried to take it on himself a couple of times and didn't finish it. So 3rd time he knocks it across to Ben Guy for the tap in. So that was a nice wee goal. I really like a breakaway goal, where a player has to run half the length of the pitch to finish. It's always nice as well.
I agree with you. I was going to say that was the moment of the match for me as well, because of the 2 earlier chances. Like, there was one of them in particular, I can't remember who he should have squared it to. There was Tilney for one of them. I can't remember. It was maybe Ben Guy for the next one as well. And it was bad, and it was only 2-0 at that stage. So, like, 10 men or not, the game's not over. And it was bad because, like, it was proper, like, no, you really, really definitely have to square that one. And then to have the presence of mind to then do it the next time and to learn from it was impressive.
I know.
Probably shows a bit of an intelligence in there as well, like football intelligence and learning from his errors, because, like, not every player has that, and I think that really did tell you a lot about Lee Bonus as a player. And his all-round performance, I'm sure you want to talk about as well, because got people talking.
Match, yeah.
He was exceptional on Saturday. He really, really was. And in fact, there was, it's a big shout, but there was comparisons with Glenn Ferguson being made, when he was obviously starting off in his Irish League career, which I thought was a great compliment. But I think he's I'll still got a lot of work to do to get the Spikes level. But
I think Darren Murphy had made that comparison on TV or something, hadn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unbelievable. His physicality and the amount of running that he does. I forget the figure, but they wear these GPS vests now. Like the amount of a lot of our team do a vast amount of running, and we have to quite often. But Lee's overall performance, just the effort that he puts in, and you forget these guys. I know he's young and he should be fit, and he is fit. But these guys, are up in the morning. Some of them at work for 7:30, 8 o'clock, working through to 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and then they come and put their boots on and give their absolute everything in the football pitch as well. Just physicality. He just got into Coates and whoever else was playing centre half, and I think they were quite shocked by. You'd be very nervous playing against a player like Lee and Stephen Murray as well. Stephen can hold it up, and he's tricky, and he can go through quite easily as well. Lee gives you that bit of physicality, and you just know you wouldn't want to defend against him. It's tricky. So he's definitely growing and maturing in his football man of the match performance, and rightly so. And he'll be delighted about that. To get a goal and have a man of the match performance, I don't think he's too much love for Glenavon. So he's a Portadown supporter his whole life. So to be scoring goals against them and tanking them and winning man of the match, it's what we all dream of, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, absolutely. He is living the dream. Like until Tuesday night, it was 2 derbies played, 2 wins, 2 goals for him. Like it was brilliant. And for a Portadown fan too, it was glad. And for somebody stepping up from Mid-Ulster football too, to see him doing so well, because sometimes you see boys knocking in goals for fun Mid-Ulster and they don't get that chance, or if they do get that chance, they don't quite make it. But to see somebody like that who seems to have so much promise coming from Sego is really good for Mid-Ulster football too. Really pleasing for all those guys, I'm sure.
It's funny. I remember going to a pre-season friendly a couple of summers ago against Dungannon at Stangmore, and Lee came on a sub, and people were like, "Oh, who's that guy? Who's this?" And I remember afterwards on the game, they put the result up on the Portadown's Facebook page, and they won. And I remember commenting underneath it, being like, "Oh, number 23 that came off the bench," because nobody knew who he was. I was like, this guy's really good. And then he played again as a trialist against Korean and played very well. And then obviously he was offered a contract, and he's never looked back. He's been absolutely brilliant, and he's made such a good impression on all the fans as well. They love him. So
he did. I think it's been great. He came up through Portadown youth, and he played in successful teams at youth level, in the same team as Luke Wilson and everything. And then I think maybe I don't know, for whatever reason, he thought he would take a step backwards. And I think he might have played for Portadown BB Old Boys for a short while, and then Sego. And I imagine that's just given him the confidence to come up. And I think when he was signed, I think Neil McCullough had a big say in that. He really wanted him to come back to the club. Great work. But it was maybe, the signing was maybe, let's bring him in, play for the under-20s and get back to that level of football and get him into the senior team. But I imagine at the first training session when Tippy and them saw the effort and the physicality that he put in, he just came straight back into the first team squad, really.
But I think actually going and playing in the Mid-Ulster League has probably done him the world of good, because yourself, if you're playing as a young lad in those kind of leagues, you're playing against players that are a lot older than you and a lot more physical. Mm-hmm. So that's probably put him in good stead for coming back to Portadown and playing
that's a polite way of saying you get the crap kicked out of you every Saturday afternoon in the Mid-Ulster League.
Yes, I suppose so. But do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, even in the games there against Glenavon, he wasn't afraid to go and butt heads with, not literally, with Colin Coates and stuff. He's like a really experienced and one of the best ever Irish League centre halves and stuff. And he's not afraid at all, and he's not afraid to mix it with these physical defenders. And I think obviously the experience at Sego has really put him in good stead. And fingers crossed he scores far more goals for Portadown in the future. Like,
yeah, 50 goals or whatever it was in a season that he scored for Chigo. That's going to do your confidence a world of good too, no matter what level of football it's at. So I have tipped about him funny after the game on Saturday whenever I interviewed him, like sort of just potential wise, like what are you looking at here? And he just said like can be anything he wants to be. Like he's still 20, he was 21 or 22 and 21 maybe, not even maybe, is he?
I think he's 21 now.
So like
but you know what?
They've played for Northern Ireland on as well. He's got everything he needs to have. I'm really excited to see where he goes from here. Like because 21 has played for the Northern Ireland under 21s, now scoring goals for Portadown top tier. I'm excited to see what becomes of him. Maybe he'll get a move to Glenavon at some stage.
Well, there's a lot of players. There's a lot of players when they've played long enough for Portadown and maybe the legs are run off them, then they eventually end up at Glenavon. It rarely happens the other way. But no, I don't want him to go anywhere. I'd like to say that, you know, he could stay and be obviously if the opportunity comes, he wants to better himself and maybe become a full-time professional footballer, England or Scotland or somewhere. And obviously there's opportunity to do that now in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. But the other side of the coin is, you know, if he plays for us for a couple of seasons and he's doing really, really well, there's an opportunity for us to sign him on a long-term contract, hopefully as well, and a local boy, you know, playing for your hometown club for a long, long time and potentially winning something. That would be great. And you know, we talk about Lee a lot, but you know, our team played really well on Saturday from 1 to 11. You know, the like of your Sam Wards and your Tilneys and Ben guys. I don't want to leave anybody out. You know, defense really, really good as well. Goalkeeper Stephen Murray, who I've mentioned, worked really hard. I
think the couple of games that I've been at this season, so Ballymena was the other one, and then Saturday, Eamon Skinnell's really impressed me. Defense, like not sort of the biggest fella, you sort of think like defender really, but then you see him like he puts himself about and can get up and down the pitch, and I'm really, really impressed with him because I know I would have seen him at Warren Point, but I don't really remember really noticing too much. But I certainly have noticed him over those two games. Yeah,
I have. You're right. Yeah, he's grown into it. You know, I think his first game was maybe away at Larne against whatever you call Motley Henry. Is that him?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was a baptism of fire, I can tell you. Like, but he's he's grown into the last few games. Yeah, he's done really well. There you go. Talk about Ballymena match then, Neil.
Yes. Moving forward. Before we get into Tuesday, Dave, you've got a nice wee number on there.
A little bit
that's going back a while, 92, 93. Sorry, 93, 94. I beg my pardon.
94. Listen, again, fashion icon, Portadown coach, Chris Wright. Let me borrow this. His story is Geordie Richardson was cleaning out the old changing rooms under the old stand to move across. And Chris happened to be walking past and it was just a pile of stuff lying in the middle of the floor. And this was lying in among it, I think to be thrown in the scrap heap or whatever. So Chris said, "Can I have that, please?" And he got hold of that. So nice wee long sleeve one. And if I remember, I was telling you this before, you know, it was a big deal when Portadown did the deal for this Puma top, and Martin Buchan, who was the Puma rep and a former Manchester United captain, I think, in the 80s, he came over and UTV did a big story about it and everything. So it was obviously a big financial deal done at the time. And it's, Ulster Carpets, local company. I think it's probably our only ever Puma kit, is it, Neil? You're the kit man,
like. Yes, indeed. I myself this time I've went for it. Do you remember this one? It was a very short-lived shirt.
Yeah, I like that one.
So do I. Funny, my girlfriend actually said to me before this, she was like, "That shirt's really, really nice." And we only had it for about 4 months.
Right.
Do you remember? 06, 07.
All I remember is I used to wear a polo neck like that to Sunday school in 1991. But
no, we had this kit in 2006, 2007 season for the first half of it, and then we went back to Adidas kits that we had from the season before. I don't know what the issue was with the suppliers, but I think it's a really nice shirt, and
Yes,
they had the white equivalent for this as well. And then they had a blue one, albeit the blue one they never actually wore, but the white one, I have it knocking about here as well. But yeah, I don't know if you remember, we beat Glentoran 3-2 at the Oval in Christmas, just after Christmas 2006, and Alan Smart scored a last-minute winner.
It's stuck in the mud, and it's sort of stuck in the mud, slowed down, and he ran in and dinked it over the keeper.
No,
that was Shamrock Park.
That was Shamrock when we had reverted back to the Adidas kits in the Irish Cup. But this one, we beat them 3-2 at the Oval, and we were 2-1 down going into the last couple of minutes, and we managed to win 3-2. And Alan Smart scored a last-minute winner, and then after that we were back to Adidas again. So
I have to say, I'm never a fan of a badge in the middle of a shirt. Like, it's not right. It's not traditional.
But again, the funny thing is, around that time, a lot of clubs in England had that. Like Arsenal had like a badge in the middle, so did Man United. It seemed to be like the in thing around that time. Like a lot of clubs were doing it. So, but I actually like this. Like I think it's a nice shirt, but it's just a shame they only wore it a handful of times. Like, so
you look well in it, man.
I don't like the
thank you very much.
The blue third kit you're talking about there, because Portadown did go through a wee phase of that, didn't it? Brought out like blue away kits a couple of times. It was weird. I didn't like it. Like Glenavon had a red kit. That's not right.
Yeah, we've had light blue tops and like navy. There was a navy one that had Porter's bodywork.
It's nice. It was nice.
Nice kit. I have Chris Ramsey's sponsored kit from that season. Yeah.
2011, 2012. We came second that season, and Tippy was brilliant. He was banging them in. But
right, let's talk about this Ballymena match on Saturday then.
So Ballymena, it's always a very difficult place to go, you know. No, Gareth, we'll give you your moment. Go on ahead.
I'm an important reporter. I don't know what you're talking about my moment.
Tuesday night then, in the wind and the rain.
That's correct. So I wasn't at this one, but Glenavon were obviously a lot better than they were on Saturday afternoon, and that probably I was working last night, but I had the stream on, so it was on, and I was watching as much of it as I could, and just it was night and day. Like, you know, I had a feeling that might happen. I think I'd said that yesterday, Dave. I fancied Glenavon to get something, because I thought Gary Hamilton. I don't know whether he's been watching a bit of Michael Jordan on The Last Dance or something, but he took it very personally on Saturday. So I was sitting up in the stand after the match, just finishing off a bit of work, and Gary was sort of going around doing all the interviews. So he was up behind me doing the TV interview, and then he went down to the front of the stand to do the press, and then he went and talked to the Glenavon in-house guys. So it was 3 interviews, and I'd sort of you just hear him talking, and all 3 times he was really pushing this. They were laughing going off the pitch. If I was a player, I wouldn't like that, and we'll just see how our players cope with that. And at the time, I just sort of thought, like, well, 1, he's going to get pelters for saying this, but 2, that doesn't matter, because it's good management, because all that's in his head right now is getting his players fired up for Tuesday night, and that's what he's just doing. What Michael Jordan did, and that, whether it happened or not, like, if anybody watched that documentary, you saw times where Michael Jordan totally made things up. It didn't happen, and told all his team they did, just to get them fired up for matches. I'm not saying Gary Hamilton made that up. I'm sure he didn't, but like, the fact that he used it, he had the presence of mind. And when he was really hurting, he was still looking about, going, "What can I do here?" And he used it, and it worked, because Glenavon were a totally different team on Tuesday night. They looked fired up. They were getting those second balls that they weren't getting.
We're a totally different team, because they changed 5 players, didn't they?
Yeah,
which was huge.
But Portadown only changed 1, didn't they? Am I right? I think it was maybe
left back. Chris Crane came in left back. Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe that helped with the volume of games that are coming in at the minute. Maybe Glenavon more fresher. I don't know. Maybe that played a part in it. But whatever it was, it was a totally different game. Even like I mentioned, Garrett earlier was poor on Saturday. He was very good, I thought, last night, from the bits that I could see. So yeah, fair play to Gary Hamilton in conclusion to all that.
I thought that, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really think there could be any complaints about the result on Tuesday night there. And I think Glenavon actually used their experience, whereas Portadown obviously I know we're going into this like we did the last time, like have a far younger team, but you could even see that some of the things that Glenavon were doing, it was the old experience heads, and it worked the treat. Like, I mean, Glenavon were making the most of their set pieces on a really, really windy night. and Portadown were doing the exact opposite. And do you know what I mean? I think it told in the end. And that's the thing, like, you know, we said it, Glenavon are very Jekyll and Hyde, but obviously the good Glenavon showed up last night. And like I said, I think experience sort of shone through there in the end. But I think maybe Portadown, like you said, Gareth, maybe ran out of steam a wee bit. But I actually thought when we got told the goal back, that there was a chance, but obviously it never really materialised after that. But I think the second goal just after half time, you know, it sort of knocked the wind out of our sails a wee bit. It was a great finish, to be fair, but I think Portadown will be disappointed defensively for that goal.
It was a great goal. Fair play to your man McCaffrey. I don't know anything about him. I had to sort of look him up at the start of the match last night. I was like, McCaffrey, who is this? They signed him in January from down south. I assume it was another Tony Grant tip.
Leinster League, isn't that it? Leinster League, the Leinster.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody Glenavon signed, it's probably from the Leinster League.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought he was good. He missed a couple of chances in the first half that he probably should have scored, but overall, I thought he was fairly decent, fairly promising. He could be maybe a better partner for Purkis than Fitzpatrick up there, I think, maybe. But we'll see. But yeah, I think he's worth a go, because the way he took that goal was really, really, really good. Like, it was a bit like the Stephen Murray one for the red card, just jinking inside and curling it in with a left foot. It's lovely.
Yeah. Well, I have to say though, overall, I think we deserved the draw. When, you know, I watched the match back again today for my sins, and you know, you're absolutely right. We didn't play the conditions very well, so we played with the wind in the first half, and we ended up actually wasting a lot of the ball, because you have to be really, really careful. Like, it was blowing a gale. It was 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts, and the back of the stand was rattling. You could hear it on the BBC thing. You know, when the wind blows up, it just rattles. And when you watch it back, we actually had more chances in the first half than I thought. Lee Bonus will be disappointed. The one he didn't take in the first half, where it's laid off to him in the box and he smashes it wide of the post. With a couple of sort of headers from corners. Late on in the game, once we had got a goal back, you know, Luke Wilson should have scored a header from a corner. So overall, I think we could have got a draw. I think Glenavon were improved from Saturday, but I didn't think they were brilliant either. So we didn't play with the wind. We overhit a lot of balls, which meant you were actually wasting a lot of time. You were wasting a lot of play. You know, Jacob Carney, while his kicking in the second half was good into the wind, you know, he was keeping it nice and low in the first half. He overkicked a good few. No fault of his own. It was the weather conditions were stinking like, but you ended up wasting a lot of the ball. But overall, you know, I really thought we could have got a draw last night, you know, and fair play to Sally and Lav. Sally,
yeah.
I don't think we got directly down the line and crosses in too often in the game. Obviously Tilney and Ben Guy are sort of quality on the ball, silky players, but they do a great job. They come in and they're weaving in and out. I think when Sally and Lav came on, I imagine Tippy had said to them, get straight down the line and try and get crosses into the box. And Adam McCallum put a lovely ball through for Sally, and he got a great cross. Glenavon sort of felt the goalkeeper hesitated because he thought the defence were dealing with it, and it made its way through to Chris Lavery for a nice wee goal. After that, we did put Glenavon under pressure again for a period of time, and I thought we might have nicked the draw. But I think overall, you know, we've beaten Glenavon twice this season. We've scored 9 goals. I don't think we can really complain with how we've done against them, and hopefully we'll get to play Glenavon once more this season. I'm not sure they have enough to squeeze into the top half of the table. You know, Ballymena are there looking to do that as well. So we'll possibly get one more game against them, possibly with fans, although that'll be at Mourneview Park if it happens. But
yeah.
Overall, because we'd beaten them on Saturday, stuffed them, humiliated them, embarrassed them, I wasn't overly worried about a narrow 2-1 defeat.
So
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Gareth.
No, just before we go on, I think you were right to sort of highlight Sally's performance, because I thought he totally changed the game from Portadown's perspective. Like, Glenavon looked comfortable enough, I thought, until Sally came on, and then I was surprised that Portadown didn't get a draw in the end, because I thought just holding the ball up, he was just so lively.
And I think when you come on and there's 15, 20 minutes to go, and you've got the pace, and maybe Glenavon defence is tired, you have to get past them and get crosses in, and he did it a couple of times, and he did it well. It was a feisty enough game, wasn't it, Gareth? Like I can imagine with the embarrassment thing ringing in the players' ears, and I'm sure there was a bit of, don't let Murray and Bonus rough you up, give them as good as they can get, and get at them and get at them and get at them. And Glenavon really did get at them, and
you want from a derby on that?
Absolutely. But I felt the referee was maybe inconsistent with his yellow cards. There was Garrett persistently fouled from the start and to the end, and I don't think he got booked until late on. He even had a wrestle, Bonus and him had a bit of a tackle, and Garrett ended up on top of him, and Bonus was sitting like that, and Garrett was like basically dry humping him and trying to stick the head in him as far as I could see. And the referee, he had a word. The referee had a word with him, but he didn't.
I thought that should have been a booking, but sure. Who doesn't like a bit of WWE?
I'm not sure if there's any rules in FIFA against dry humping, though. Like, I'm not sure. We'd need to look that up. See what the punishment is.
It's fair point. It was quite aggressive, though, I have to say. Anyway, we better move on from that chat.
Yeah, no, listen, I Portdown, you could have maybe saw us nicking a draw near the end, but I think for game management, to be honest, I think Glenavon, they did their job, and it's one of them things. But like I said earlier on, I don't think anyone could be too critical of Portadown on Tuesday night there. And like you said, Dave, it's one of them ones. I think you just dust yourselves down and get on with it and move on. And move on is
also, Neil, I just want to say I am man enough to say well done, Glenavon, for a narrow victory against newly promoted Portadown. Well done, you deserved it. And of course, I had said you're only as good as your last Mid-Ulster derby, and someone went to the effort of clipping this, and I must have got WhatsApped it about 17 times before I got home last night, and it was this little video clip here. Don't know what it says. It's not on, is it?
No.
That's poor for the podcast. Here we go. You're only as good as your last Mid-Ulster derby, as far as I'm concerned. I sent that on repeat numerous times over and over again. But you know what? Glenavon, they won the match. There was nothing really there to gloat about. 3 days later, they've been absolutely humiliated by Portadown, and that's what I'm going to remember going forward. So, Ballymena.
So yes, moving forward, Saturday, Portadown are away to Ballymena United, who had an exceptional result on Tuesday night at the Glens. Gareth, what did you make of Ballymena there? That's some result now, especially the run the Glens run.
Yeah, couldn't believe that. And what I couldn't believe was that Ross Redmond scored again. Ross Redmond has 2 goals in 10 days, and before that he had 2 goals in about 5 years. It's ridiculous what's going on. And he actually, in the game in between too, which I was at, I can't remember who they were playing that night.
Lauren.
Cliftonville, no, sorry, there were 2 in between. So the Cliftonville one, he had an assist that night as well. And he only came off the bench. So, like, I mean, I don't know whether they're going to play him up front. I'm not sure, but like, unbelievable result for them, because the Glens just looked like they were absolutely flying. So no, like, not like surprised, but at the same time, like, they played well against Cliftonville as well, and they were decent against Portadown. They're just on a wee run now again, like, since that Portadown have been unbeaten since then, drawn against Lauren, Cliftonville, and then beating the Glens. So I think it's probably going to be difficult on Tuesday night. But then the last time I was on, I basically said there was no chance of Portadown getting a result against Coleraine, and then they got a draw. So, like, who knows? Don't listen to me.
No, do keep saying it. Keep saying it. Yeah, no, you're right. So, like, they lost those 5 matches in a row in February, and then they beat us, drew with Cliftonville at home, drew with Lauren at home, and beat Ballymena, or beat Glentoran away convincingly on Tuesday night. Like, so I think part of it is just before, I think those February ones, I had a lot of players out injured, and they've got those players back now, and Winchester, etc. And they already, I mean, they've got great players, really, don't they? Like, McCartan and Hume and
yeah, McCartan's coming in, like as you saw yourself that game against Portadown, like McCartan's coming into form. I thought he was brilliant that day at Shamrock, and then the goal he scored against Cliftonville was just out of this world, about 35 yards out and top in, unbelievable. Although he wasn't as good, I'll say that for the full match against Cliftonville, he because at Portadown he just looked like he was on fire every time he got the ball, I thought, and then against Cliftonville he didn't really do much other than the goal, but then you don't need to do much else if you score goals like that. So he'll certainly be one to watch again on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I find with Ballymena that, and you were saying there about Glenavon, they're a bit Jekyll and Hyde. Ballymena are funny in the sense that they have it within them to go on a run of like 10 games unbeaten, but then on the flip side, they'll go on a mad run where they lose like 5-6 games on the spin. But I always find with them, David Jeffrey's a wild card. Like he's an outstanding manager, and he's proven that over the years, and he's proven it at Ballymena again. And it didn't surprise me, to be honest, whenever Ballymena got the result against the Glens, because Jeffrey's going to be pumped up for that there because he's a blue man at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And like I always think Ballymena, no matter what sort of run of form they're in, they're a dangerous side. And it's one of them things I always feel like with David Jeffrey, who's always something up his sleeve. And then Portadown, to be fair, we don't have a good record at the Ballymena Showgrounds. And I always found that Ballymena, you were always going up there. It was always cold. It feels like you're miles away from the pitch, and then inevitably you always get beat. So it's not really it's one of my least favourite away grounds, to be honest with you. So, yeah. But fingers crossed Portadown can get a result. I mean, I think there's definitely plenty of positives there over the Glenavon games. That we could bring into the Ballymena game, and we've already proven with the 0-0 at Shamrock that we can defend against them. And then I think even the game the other week there against Ballymena, I thought Portadown were actually a bit unlucky at times.
I think as well, you go into the Ballymena match then with low expectations of difficult away game, and you relax and maybe just play to your best form. Funny, just before Ballymena played us a lot of weeks ago there, I went on the Irish League forums just to have a wee nosy about, and there was boys looking David Jeffrey sacked on the Irish League forums. Ballymena fans saying, we've had enough, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, guys, come on. That man has transformed your club from average to pretty good and potential to win things, really, and sign great players. And
that is madness, absolute madness. If
so
there are people,
I had a good chuckle, and I just thought, flip, is not just a football supporter to a team. You lose one match, you want rid of the manager. You win one match, and your manager's the greatest in the world.
Look at the job that he's done there. He took them to finish second a couple of years ago. They have won the League Cup under him. They've been the Countdown Shield finals. They've been the Irish Cup finals. They won the Countdown Shield under him as well. That is utter madness. Korea football fans nowadays are so fickle. It's like a same over in England. There's Liverpool fans saying Jurgen Klopp should be sacked and all. You're just like, I'm out, and this is madness.
I know.
I'm just trying to look up Ballymena's honours list, because the last time they won a trophy before he arrived, I think was a long time ago, wasn't it? They won the League Cup in 2017. That was under Jeffrey.
Yeah. Did they win the Cup in the 80s, maybe? Irish Cup.
But that's it. And then he came in. They've been to 6 finals under him, maybe. 6 finals. They've only won 2 of them, but still, you know what I mean? As you say, he's turned them into team that has real potential to win things.
Yeah, and listen, financially and location, they're not going to go on and win the league title without serious investment. But under Jeffrey, they can push on and win trophies. And at the end of the day, if Portadown ever won the Irish Cup, I tell my wife and kids this all the time. I've seen Portadown win the league 4 times, obviously. But if I saw us win the Irish Cup once in the second half, potentially, of my life, I'd be fine. I'd be happy. I'd die a happy man, So
I don't think a lot of people actually appreciate how difficult it is for provincial clubs to win the major honours over in Northern Ireland. How often the league trophy has left Belfast in the 119 years of the league?
I'm going to go 12 times.
What do you think, Neil? Higher?
7.
I must have been close there, Gareth.
Yeah, you're close. It's 10. Like
Yeah.
out of 119 seasons, 10 have been outside Belfast.
Yeah.
But this is it. Like, I mean, well, I was funny. I mean, since Coleraine won the league in the late 70s, Portadown are the only club outside of Belfast to win the league, and we have done it 4 times. And then we're the last club to win outside of Belfast since 2002. That is nearly 20 years ago, which is crazy when you think about it. So I can't imagine how.
It's crazy, but when you think about population, where all the best players live, financially, Belfast is the hub of Northern Ireland financially, more sponsorship, more business, but what I love about that is if you are Glenavon supporter and you win the cup, it's so special because it doesn't come along too often. If you're Portadown and you win the league or you win the cup, it's amazing because, if you're Linfield, if you're Glentoran back in the day, the expectation is that you go on to win the league every season or an Irish Cup. And so much so, I believe Linfield's financial budget is set around worst case scenario. We finish second in the league every year. That's how they set their financial budget as far as I'm aware. So that expectation is there. We win the league, or at the very, very worst, we finish second. Whereas if you're a Coleraine, a Ballymena, I know Dungannon have been to the odd cup final. Those are special days out for provincial clubs.
It has to take the shine off it if you just keep winning it. Like, it's a bit like Only Fools and Horses whenever they got rich, and it was just like, this isn't great.
That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
Like the first time
I agree.
When Glenavon won the Irish Cup in 2014, like that was one of the best days of my life. Mark Patton, that late winner, unbelievable. Because like all I'd wanted my whole life was see Glenavon win a proper trophy. I'd seen them win like the Intermediate Cup, but I wasn't quite counting that one. Like, do you know what I mean? Just wanted to see Glenavon win one proper trophy in my life, and it was unreal. Whereas
you're not discounting the Mid-Ulster Cup as a proper trophy, though.
Well, yeah, sort of. Considering Portadown weren't even in it back in those days. So yeah, like it must take the shine off it if you're like Linfield and you just expect to win it every year. I don't know. I'm not a Linfield fan, but I can't imagine it's quite as good as it would be if you won it once every 20 or 30 years.
I agree entirely. And Dave, I know you said that you're on the forums and people are saying Jeffrey to go. I don't even why would you even waste time in those forums? It's full of glue bags. You heard it here first. I'm sorry. Listen, without even, you know what, we can go off on a tangent with it and stuff. You'd be here all night. No, listen, I think Jeffrey's done a smashing job, and I think Ballymena, they're not. They have a few games in hand of Cliftonville, so they do have the chance to get into the top 6, and that's another perfect example. If they were to get into the top 6, it'd be a phenomenal achievement for them this season. But they'll be looking to really kick on that result against the Glens. Portadown are obviously, we're tempted at the minute, which we've said numerous occasions you would have taken at the start of the season. And we've obviously got our noses just in front of Carrick and Dungannon at the minute, and we need to keep it going that way, obviously. Like, so,
yeah.
Dave, what do you think? Would you be dismissive of a draw, or like, what would you be happy enough for that?
No, I don't think it'll be a draw. I think we'll score a goal. It just depends whether Ballymena score 2 goals. Well, you know what? I'm not going to rule out a draw then, because I think we'll score a goal. We always have a goal in us. It just depends what Ballymena do. They might have an off day. You don't know. I'm not saying they have to have an off day, because if we have a really good day, we can punch it with any team in the league there, especially teams in 6th, 7th, 8th place. But it takes a wee bit of luck, and it takes a wee bit of rub of the green and shots to go in, and taking the chances that come along, which we've done in some games. We have missed bags of chances in other games. So we're sitting 10th because we're young and inconsistent. So it just depends. If we turn up and everybody plays to the best of their ability and it goes well for us, there's no reason why we can't get a result, but it'll be a difficult place to go. And I like going to Ballymena Showgrounds because I really like Slemish Mountain and I like looking at it in different lighting conditions, but it's freezing and you're far away from the pitch and it just seems like a brutal place to go. I think the last time I was up there we played them in the 5th round of the Irish Cup 2 seasons ago, did we? Away.
It was the League Cup. It was a Tuesday night match.
And I remember going up, and it was a Monday night, and I think they beat us 4-1. It was rotten, but
I don't think this weekend. The next week's going to be really interesting for Portadown, I think, especially because Tippy seemed in his post-match interview last night pretty annoyed, as you would be, but it was sort of a lot of demanding consistency now from the players. It's as if he's sort of saying right, you've had your time, you've had your time to get used to the Premiership, it's time to move on now.
Yeah.
And even talking about players playing for the futures and stuff like that. So away to Ballymena, away to Dungannon, there's no reason why you can't target, say, 4 points from those 2 games. So I think it'll be really interesting if you come away with 2 defeats from those 2 games. You probably do get the stage then where Tipping is going, right, where do we need to strengthen in this team? Where do I need to, who's not good enough? Who's not going to cut it as we look to go forward? Whereas if they can start to kick on now and say, right, we had that big win against Glenavon, we showed what we can do. Now we need to show it regularly, because it's a great chance to do that. It's not as if you've got Linfield and Larne coming up here. You've got 2 winnable games that you can reasonably not expect to win, but hope to win.
Yeah. It's going to be weird next week because obviously we play Ballymena on Saturday here, but then next Tuesday we don't have a game, and we've got so used to playing Saturday and Tuesday.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah, Dungannon's the following Saturday, and then we actually play Carrick after that as well. Right. So there's 3 big games coming up here for Portadown, but it's weird. We've only 1 game to preview, and usually it's 2. So it's going to be a weird Tuesday. That's the thing, with the Irish League this season, obviously, with the pandemic and stuff, and everyone's playing catch up, and the matches come on Saturday, Tuesday. You get so used to it now, and the fact they're not going to have a game next Tuesday, it's what am I meant to do? You know what I mean?
It's fans' point of view, it's also it's class.
Yeah.
On that, can we wrap it up? I need a cup of tea here.
Oh God, you are grumpy. You are grumpy.
He is
Oh dear. Listen, we'll wrap it up there. Before I go, don't forget to like and subscribe to the We Are Ports YouTube channel and Spotify as well. Dave, as always, thank you very much, and hopefully after your wee cup of tea, you'll be feeling a lot better. Gareth, thank you so much for coming onto the show again tonight. It's been great to have you once again. And yes, we'll leave it at that. Portadown, fingers crossed, 3 points on Saturday. No pressure. Cheers.
Come on.
Goodbye.